Talk about everyone talks about skills and strengths, and you've done a lot for Barnabas and Masters Group, but we learned a lot by mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a mistake that you made as a leader that really changed and really was a lesson that you had to learn about your own leadership journey.
Wow. My experience in business prepared me for large organizational leadership. It was a significant family business. We were the largest in our niche in the 14 Western states by the time we sold in the early 80s. And when I moved into the ministry space, it was at the time when the mega church was just in its rise.
Yeah.
And unexpectedly, 7 years after I left business to go into the marketplace ministry environment, I was asked to become the pastor of a 5,000 member church that at the time was one of the top couple hundred churches in the country. It had started about the same time that Willow Creek had started. Its pastor and Bill were friends and collaborators to some degree. They had swapped pulpits at some points along the way. It was a high visibility church in Southern California. And I was unexpectedly solicited to become the senior pastor of that church after a leadership failure had taken the founder out. And I've since discovered that even in ministry, we can get diverted from God's best for us by the opportunity for grabbing what looks like a promotion when in fact it may not be.
Got it.
And God used that time in some pretty remarkable ways in my long-term life journey. But what I discovered in the process was that rather than continuing to narrow my sense of assignment and engagement to only my best things, I accepted the responsibility for the administrative oversight of a very large church with a number of ancillary ministry and educational pieces that went with it. And I found myself energized on Sundays and dying Monday through Friday. Because the opportunity to have an audience that I could communicate with on a weekly basis was dramatic and valuable. But the task of managing the organization all week long, I had grown out of when I left my business.
Got it. Yeah.
And what I've since discovered is that I want to constantly be narrowing my focus in terms of the things I do to only those things I do at a genius level. The marketplace has probably done more to help us understand that notion of finding our core giftedness, devoting 10,000 hours to that over a decade, and seeing that giftedness become our genius. God made every one of us to become a genius in our niche.
Got it.
And tragically, we often don't know what that niche is, or we accept a lot of responsibilities that go outside the nucleus of what that is. And our work lives become toxic over time the more we give ourselves to things in which we're one of 100, one of 1,000, one of a million, rather than one of a kind.
Got it.
And so for the last 25 years since leaving that church assignment, I've been about the business of narrowing my niche to the place where I'm one of a kind and helping other folks to identify those places where their one of a kind status has been designed by God to be the best place for them to be. When you find your one of a kind spot, retirement becomes an empty offer.
Yeah.
Retirement is the prize we offer ourselves for years of living in the prison of a job description. And if you can release yourself from that prison early, the enticement of retirement disappears entirely.
Thank you, Bob.